I think Eric really struck the right balance between presentation, formal presentation, and then hands-on experimentation, and it was a terrific educational opportunity and experience.
And I've attended quite a few social media sessions, but one of the main things that I loved about this session was that it was very hands-on, that we actually were walked through and shown things. So stuff that we've talked about doing, like setting up a blog, but seems so out of reach, we set them up in 15 minutes, and I thought that was fantastic.
I got the really big picture. I learned about lots of new and different sites that I was not aware of. I heard about strategies to actually utilize the forums.
He kind of gives me the edges of the landscape, okay? Because I used to see where the mountains were, and it's like now I'm going, okay, there's a lot out there that I didn't see before. And so when I tell you that he gives me sort of little hints on how to increase your clout score, for example.
I think his training sessions would be very good for different types of people within organizations. Communications people is one, of course, but then we deal with IT a lot, or even our legal department.
Eric's social media boot camp was absolutely terrific. It was fun, it was interactive, it was hands-on.
I actually took it a step further, and I contacted Eric to say, hey, can you do a little bit of data gathering for us to help me pitch the story internally so that we have a better foundation that's very specific to some of our concerns and issues.
I think he communicates it in a clear and credible way, and I think that it offers enormous benefits and is well worth attending.
And I left feeling like I understood how to do these things and like very empowered.
Definitely do it. Come in prepared. Come in with your laptop open and your mind ready, and you'll have a lot of fun.
I would recommend taking Eric's class for absolutely anyone who's interested in really understanding how you can strategically use all of the social tools that are available to you.
I'm excited to take some of the things you've taught us in class in terms of Facebook and Twitter, take that back to the Smithsonian and really reach out to new and different audiences, younger audiences, people who don't get to come to the Smithsonian.
Getting more and more requests for SEO and social media networking and all that kind of stuff.
I'm really learning a lot, and even emailing my coworkers back at home as I'm, hey, are you using this, or do we use this, or do we do that? And they're not even using some of this stuff because it's so new.
How do you identify the most influential bloggers? What's the best way to engage them? How is search optimized in press releases? What are the do's and don'ts for pitching social sites? You're going to learn this from Eric Schwartzman.
The biggest challenges I see it, forgive me, I'm just being straight with you guys, social media literacy. It's very high in the boardroom. People think they get it, but they don't. So before we get started, just some general housekeeping items. The first thing you're going to need is a Facebook account. And you'll need to know the username and password so that you can actually log in and access that account. You'll need to have a computer without blocking software, a computer that will actually give you access to the web without blocking certain websites. You'll need to make sure that you have an open connection to the internet. So no filtering or blocking on your connection as well. You're going to need the latest version of Firefox or Chrome. Internet Explorer is not a modern browser, and you will struggle to take full advantage of Facebook and other social sites in that browser. So make sure you get the latest version of either Firefox or Chrome. You're going to need to know how to point, click, drag, and drop in a Windows environment. I won't cover that here. I'll expect that you do know that. You'll also need to know how to cut and paste. So how to select text, copy it, cut it, and paste it into another window. You're going to need to know how to connect to the internet. So not only do you need an internet connection, but you need to know how to get onto it, how to actually secure a connection. I won't cover that. You'll also need to know how to use Google search. You'll need to know how to go to google.com, enter a query, and hit the search button. You'll need to know how to use Gmail, and you may need a cell phone. At times when you take advantage of some of the more advanced features that Facebook offers, it will ask to authenticate your account with a cell phone number. You basically put in your cell phone number, they then text you a unique ID, you enter that in, and that authenticates your account against your cell phone account. So if you've got those things under control, let's get started. What's the second best online auction site? What's the second best search engine? What's the second best social network? The network effect leaves no place for second comers. It's a zero-sum game. And that's exactly what's happened with Facebook. In the social networking world, there are no second comers. Once there's a social network that the whole world's a member of, why would you go to a small network unless you wanted to talk about niche topics? So here's a map that shows you the adoption of social networks by brand. And you can see it wasn't entirely blue in June 2009. But as we move from June 2009 to December 2009, you can see it becomes increasingly blue, meaning more and more countries start adopting Facebook. The way Facebook grows is they open an office in another country, they translate the platform to the native language there, and when people in that country realize that they can join a social network that would give them the ability to build a global graph of friends, they almost instantly get rid of the local social network and hop onto Facebook. Check out the shift from December 2009 to June 2010. You can see the globe becomes bluer. And as we move to December 2010, bluer still. We're now in an environment where there are not 845 million, but more than 900 million Facebook members. So this is something you really don't want to let pass you by. The only reason that Facebook is not the predominant social network in China at this point is because it's blocked. The Great Firewall of China, the Chinese government, blocks access to Facebook for Chinese citizens because they censor the internet in that country. But it looks at this point as though there may not be anyone else 5 years out from now. A lot of organizations look at Facebook and they say, you know, we're business to business, we're a serious organization, we don't need to be there. We're going to focus on LinkedIn or we're going to focus on Twitter. But I think it's too early to assume that LinkedIn is going to inherit the professional network and Facebook is going to inherit the social network. As a matter of fact, there's a new application that's available on Facebook now called Branch Out, which allows you to use Facebook like LinkedIn. And a lot of organizations that are business-to-business oriented have established a presence on Facebook and are using it for business-to-business communications. So you don't want. So let's talk about how Facebook beat MySpace at the social networking game. Remember MySpace? It was the first comer. It sold for hundreds of millions of dollars and everyone thought it was going to be the social network. Well, Facebook did a couple of interesting things to shake things up and get the advantage. The first thing they did was they set up what's called a news feed. And the way the news feed works is when you friend somebody in Facebook, if they post something to their Facebook page, it shows up on your news feed. In MySpace, you had to go from one friend's page to another friend's page to see what they were doing. So you basically spent your time going from page to page to page. Facebook created the news feed and let all that information come to you on your own page. The other thing they did was they released a software developers kit and encouraged third-party software developers to write applications. They call them Facebook apps that can work right inside of Facebook. So it's almost a social operating system for the web where you can build applications that work right inside of Facebook and use that social intelligence to work more effectively. A recent example of this is an application called Spotify. And this application lets you find music based on what your friends are listening to. You can also see what's most popular based on what most people on Facebook are listening to. So now you don't have to rely on a disc jockey at a radio station or some tastemaker to tell you what the great hot music is. You can actually look at what is truly popular based on what people are listening to, based on actual behavior. And this is how Facebook beat MySpace at the social networking game. Now, what you're looking at here is my Facebook profile. Now, the terms of service restrict you from having more than one Facebook profile. As a matter of fact, if you have 2 Facebook profiles and you are found out, one of them can get shut down without notice because it's against the terms of service. At this point, Facebook has fewer than 4,000 employees and more than 900 million users. So if you send an email because they've shut off one of your accounts, how quick do you think you're going to get a response? Not very quick, right? So you don't want to disobey the terms of service and be out of compliance, because you can spend a lot of time building a social network and see it vanish if you're out of compliance. Now here I'm showing you a picture of my Facebook profile, and I'm looking at the news feed. And not a lot of people know this, but you can actually decide who you share a status update with. Here I'm showing you the drop down where you can set up either public posts, or you could share with friends, or friends of friends, or families, or acquaintances. It's up to you. If you take the time to set up the different lists, you can decide who actually sees it and who doesn't. And this is my own profile page. If I click on my name, it'll take me to my Facebook timeline. And timeline is sort of like a scrapbook of everything that you've done in the past. And it's interesting. It was a very smart competitive strategy against Google+. Timeline launched just around the time that Google launched Google+, their social network, which they launched to try to compete against Facebook. Think about it like this. If your house was on fire and your family was safe and everyone was safe, and you could save one thing from your home before all your belongings were burned, what would you save? If you ask me, I would save my family photos, because that's my history. I have pictures of my grandparents, pictures of their parents that date back to the early 1900s. They're irreplaceable. A couch, that's replaceable. But memories and photos are unique. They're invaluable to me. So that's what I'd save. And what Facebook realized is people are investing all their memories, all their history in our platform, but it's very difficult for them to enjoy it after they've put it in. If you remember before Timeline, maybe you took a photo, went back, tried to find it. It was hard to find. It was difficult to enjoy the content that you'd invested. And so what Facebook did was they created Timeline to make it really enjoyable to go back through your memories. And you can even edit those memories. You can make some things more prominent than others. You can hide some things. And it essentially replaces the scrapbook. I would not be surprised to see an organization create an app that would allow you to translate that into a book that you could print out, push a button. If you've ever gone to Snapfish and made a book for maybe your family or friends of some events with pictures, you know that it's not really the most enjoyable experience to have to edit that manually. But if you could use your social graph, in this case your timeline, to generate that automatically, that would be very valuable. So in many senses, I think Facebook Timeline is the end of the scrapbook, because it's now all automated, and even if my house does burn down, I'll still have access to my photos.